Welcome to the Garden Show, coming to you every Saturday morning at this time since 1983 in Kelowna, BC. And now we're into Victoria and Penticton, which is very, very nice to have you folks aboard.
And don't forget that we're also online from anywhere. So, you know, if you enjoy the show and you want to tune in, you can tune in online.
That's right. That's easy peasy nowadays.
You betcha.
Well, we start the show every week with the tips and plants of the week.
You bet.
My tip of the week is this. Late August and early September marks the beginning of a new gardening season. This may sound a bit unusual because especially here in the Okanagan, there's only a couple of months of frost-free days left in the traditional gardening season.
Yeah.
But oh, what a couple of months this end of season can be. I like to call it the beginning of a garden season because right now the weather's cooling down, the plants are jumping, they're happy, and so it is a new gardening season, folks. My plant of the week this week could be a little controversial down at the coast because there are some bad morning glory things going on there. But my little seeded morning glories, my heavenly blue morning glories, we really enjoy them. They can be a little bit problematic in the way they can seed themselves a bit, but they're easy to control. And that's my tips and plants of the week, morning glory and my tip.
Yeah, there you go. I also have a tip and a plant this week, and my tip of the week is that this is a time of year when if you finished up one of your beds, your planting beds of any kind, especially in your vegetable garden, is don't just leave it without anything growing in it. You should always plant something and keep the soil alive and keep it generating. One of the best things for that is crimson clover, which you can sprinkle the seed in right now, and it'll germinate and get growing here for the fall, and it'll survive the winter, and it'll come up next year. And then when you're ready to plant, you just cut it off at ground level, and you're good to go. And it's nitrogen fixing as well, so it feeds the soil. So I really like to plant cover crops, and my favorite is crimson clover. All right, now my plant of the week this week is the snapdragon, and just the reason for that is that I just find that they naturalize in my garden. They seed around, they come up in a multitude of different colors, which is really nice. You know, they're a deer-resistant plant, they're drought-tolerant, they're disease-resistant. You know, they're just one of these plants that's just so easy to grow and very enjoyable. And it reminds me of when I was a kid when I first figured out what a snapdragon was. The antirrhinum's a really cool plant. And that's my tips and plants for this week. Remember to check growercoach.com, Grower Coach on YouTube, and KHS Landscape Service.
Way to go, Ken. Yeah. My antirrhinum story is this. When I came back from playing in the band in Bermuda, and I came back to Kelowna to help my dad, and I was working up front, a little Englishman came in, and he said, do you have any antirrhinums? And I said, just let me check. I had no idea what an antirrhinum meant. So I went running in the back, and we had this book, and I started thumbing through the book, antirrhinum, snapdragon. Oh, my goodness. So I came out with a little red face and said, yes, we got a whole bench full back here.
Yeah, tons of them,
Yeah.
I remember seeding the antirrhinums early. One of the first things, if you want to get some color on the bench, you had to get them in, and usually almost at Christmas time, or one of the first things we used to seed. Begonias and antirrhinums.
Yeah, early.
Yeah.
Looking for a wonderful combination of music, local artists, artisans showcasing their work, and a glorious setting among spectacular trees, shrubs, perennials, and annuals. What can you say?
Yeah.
You'll find it all at the Arts and Music in the Summerland Ornamental Gardens event on Sunday, August 25th. That's tomorrow, folks.
Oh, yeah. Fabulous.
Summerland Ornamental Gardens event. This is a perfect Sunday outing where you can relax and listen to live music from the Windjammers Woodwind Quintet. Oh, that'll be great.
Oh, yeah.
Talk with the artists and peruse their works and take in the unmatched setting of the historic gardens. The event takes place from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Admission is by donation. Bring a picnic lunch to eat in the shade. Reminds me of our youth. We used to go up to Summerland.
Yeah.
Summerland. Back then it was called the Summerland Research Station.
Yeah.
And we would take a Sunday lunch up there, and we'd see the Kettle Valley Railway puffing by. You know, this is back in the 50s, Ken, before you were even existing.
way back.
Yeah. But also, that is happening here in the Okanagan. We also have in Victoria, the Abkhazia Garden Fall Plant Sale is happening.
Nice.
On Grandparents' Day, Sunday, September 8th. That's Grandparents' Day. Hey, I'm a grandparent. I get a Father's Day.
Too, yeah.
I get Father's Day. I get Family Day. I get Grandparents' Day.
Well, there you go.
Send me the check.
Yep.
Looking for an interesting plants or bulbs for your garden? Our head gardener will be available for questions. Stay for a wander around the garden. Proceeds go to the maintenance of the gardens, rain or shine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the September 8th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's Grandparents' Day. That's the Abkhazia Gardens. Free admission. It's a great place, and I just haven't had the opportunity to see it yet. But you folks in Victoria, of course, are very fortunate. You're able to go there and be in touch with that. Well, here we are. A little bit of rain.
Yeah.
A lot of rain down at the coast. It's pouring down there.
Yeah, we had a pretty good downpour out in the Lake Country area yesterday.
Yeah, we've got a half an inch here.
Oh, okay.
Half an inch.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we got, but it came with a bit of bluster and some lightning. We had a lightning strike, like just right across, like literally within a block of our house. And that was pretty loud.
Isn't that amazing when it goes crash, boom?
It was like one. There was no delay.
Yeah.
And it was loud.
I've been there.
Yeah, it shook all the windows and rattled the house and everything. Yeah, it's exciting. It's scary. And
powerful.
The wind was a little bit frightening as well. So one of those things, you get every once in a while. And it's the way she rolls.
I remember when we were building greenhouses for Glenn Bowman back in the day, probably about 1997, there was a big thunderstorm, and it was raining. So what did we do? We ran into one of the hoop houses.
Oh, yeah.
Metal hoop
metal
houses.
Hoop house, yeah.
The metal hoop house. Why not, eh? And fortunately, we weren't, but I'll tell you, we had some pretty close strikes there, too. And now, it's interesting with lightning and trees. The ramifications of a lightning strike on a tree are quite vivid and quite recognizable. You'll see this long split right down the tree where the lightning ran down through the tree. It doesn't always kill the tree, but it does injure it, and it could open it up to disease and whatnot. But sometimes those old lightning strikes are quite fascinating because you'll see how they've occluded and you can kind of read that and say, well, that was a lightning strike because it comes all the way down the tree.
It's amazingly it's a like a blueprint of the history of what went on with each tree. When you do cut down a tree, when it's an old tree, you can look back into the history and you can probably spot if that tree was ever hit by lightning, let's say 50 years ago or 100 years ago on some trees. It's pretty interesting.
Ken, we had a wonderful trip to the coast last week, and thank you for I'm going to have to lean on you in a couple of weeks. We're going up to do some fishing, and we might not be here. We won't be around.
Me too.
Oh, is that right? The long weekend? Not the long weekend. When are you playing? Oh, boy. We can't be both away.
20th.
I know. I think we're fine. We're fine. Yep, we're fine, Ken. We're back and forth. We haven't messed up yet on these vacation.
It's a rare thing that we even miss a show normally, but that's the way it goes. So every once in a while, one of us has to go do something or be somewhere, or somebody's getting married, or who knows.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing about the two of us here, because way back when the very beginning. It was
harder to get
a little
someone
harder
to fill
because
in.
You weren't around, and at that time, I think Don Stoltz would sit in for me.
Yep.
Yeah, at that time. Anyway, back to business here. We had a great trip to the coast. Our son Joe and his fiancée now, Sabrina, they're real smart people. These two, very smart people, but they're not gardeners. But they want to be gardeners.
Not yet.
They want to be gardeners. The urge is there. And so when Donna and I went in and just did a cleanup and showed Joe how to prune some of this ivy off the wall, and I'll tell you, we transformed that little garden space that they have at Kitsilano in their place. We transformed that into something like a little garden of Eden.
A little bit of maintenance.
Yeah, little garden of Eden. And so they're
necessity.
Okay. Sabrina, and I don't like to talk about people, but this is normal. Okay, Sabrina, when she waters, she takes the hose, and it's an open hose. There's no nozzle on anything. Just splashes the water around like it was teasing the plants. Like let see, this is water. Okay, you want to taste? Just a little taste, and you pull it away. No, you can't do that. When you water, you got to water.
Yeah, well, that's why you were there. You're leading the way and introducing them into the world of gardening.
It's all about food and water. Now, we mentioned water. Water is very, very precious, and you don't want to waste it. But you are wasting it if you're just flashing it around.
Yeah,
that's wasting.
Spray the top of the plant and it never even hits the ground. That's a waste. Yeah, that just evaporates.
Yeah, well, here we are. Again, as I said in my tip of the week, it's going into the fall gardening season.
Yeah.
And here in the Okanagan, we have, a month and a half to 2 months of fall gardening.
It really starts about the 15th of September. Like, it all depends on those temperatures. I recall a few years ago we had that heat in September, and it was the only time we really. This was, I don't know how many years ago, but the hottest entire year we had, like the whole summer, was in September. We had 36 degrees, and for us now that seems like nothing. But it was a cool season. The whole year was cool, and then all of a sudden September, bam, it got hot, and it changed the dynamic of that whole fall season. I like it to come in early. I like it to be in like 20th of September. Like, I like it to be cold at night and nice in the day and fresh.
The annuals they breathe a breath of fresh air, and it is a time when you have some annuals that are looking a little rough. Clip them back, especially petunias and things like that. You can clip it back, and you can give them lots of fertilizer, food, and get them going. We're going to have to take a short break. We do invite your calls when we come back with more of The Garden Show. Well, here we are back with you on a rainy Saturday morning, but I understand out the coast it's going to really be coming down, or it came down quite a bit. We did get quite a bit of rain here, and it's unusual for the Okanagan usually, but we need it when it's good. They're trying to get those aquifers back in line because they are short of water right now. It's not it has been a blessing having some of this rain through August and whatnot, but it still doesn't fill up our backlog of water that we need. What
you were saying, and of course we keep talking gardening between the breaks, but we were talking about how soil, it becomes hydrophobic or hygrophobic, where it doesn't absorb because it gets so dry that it actually repels the water. And that's the one thing that the rain does, is if you can get a couple good rainfalls in a row, it helps to get that soil reabsorbing again and starting to accept the water. And then if you do get a really good downpour, there's a real good chance that's going to absorb in and eventually, possibly work its way down into an aquifer. I think generally it comes from up on the hills, in the mountains.
Yeah, we got to get the snowpack this year. We need the snowpack, Yeah. But Ken, we talked years ago. You sort of talked to me about the hydrophobic problem with soils and whatnot. And there is a spreader sticker that you can use.
Yeah,
it's
a
wetting agent that you can use, and
makes the water wetter.
It makes the water wetter, and that is very, very helpful, getting things moist and into the ground. But and on the other hand, like I say, you want to watch how much you water. But on the other hand, if you're just watering a little bit here and there, you're really wasting it. You really want to water well and get it down deep, get that charged, get that soil charged. It's so fascinating, Ken, out in the garden, how so many plants from this January freeze got hit. And yet my gladiola that I have out there came through. And I never used to think gladiolas were hardy enough to come through the winter, but they seem to be.
Yeah, they seem to come through, yeah. I've had quite a few come through as well. I do find that if you lift them and protect them over the winter, they're a little bit more predictable in a lot of ways. And actually you can do a little grading on them. You can take the good ones and maybe put all the small ones in an area because they might take an extra year to mature, before they really start to bloom. And then just take your primo bigger ones and put those all in the, in your floral display or where your cut flower garden is, for example. So, yeah, I tend to lift them, but I have several times actually decided not to lift them. And, they didn't all survive, but a good percentage.
You didn't decide not to lift. You just forgot to lift them.
Yeah, well, a little bit of both. It's like, I don't really want to do this. It's too much work. And then, and then the next year you do lose. I would say you lose a good chunk of them. Survival rate for what I've experienced is about 20%. In the Okanagan here. I would imagine, I'm not sure, somebody is, down in the Victoria area who has experience with these glads. Yeah. The winters are milder. They probably don't freeze out, but they might rot, because of the extra rainfall.
Yeah. Bulbs in general are now, and gladiolas aren't a bulb, they're a corm. Yeah. But remember, there's corms, tuberous roots, and bulbs. Those are the common rooted plants. But the bulbs, the true bulbs, the alliums, the tulips, the daffodils, the liliums, and things like that, those are true bulbs. And they are on the market now. We stopped in, as we always do. We stopped in and saw Brian Mitter. Brian says hello to you, Ken.
Oh, nice.
And it was a real good visit with them. And he's got his bulbs out, especially his local daffodils. Huge supply of local daffodils, and this new variety. He's got bags of them. Really good, really good buy. I think 50 bulbs for $30 or something like that. It's really, really quite something, and really healthy looking bulbs. And
but
so
these are locally grown, meaning like
locally in down the coast,
in Chilliwack
area, or Abbotsford.
There's a lot of bulbs produced there, actually. Yeah.
So those, and it's a new variety that's shorter. And so we're excited. We bought 50 bulbs, and and we're going to share them with our kids. And bulbs are a cool thing to plant because when they come up in the spring, there's always a story to be told about those bulbs. Well, those bulbs were given to me by so and so, or those bulbs we got at a wedding, or those bulbs we bought specially because they were a new variety or something.
Or Don Burnett gave me these bulbs.
Yeah, there you go. But in the spring, when they come up, they go, "Oh, isn't that nice?" It's the first thing in the spring. You don't do anything about them; they just appear, and they're like little treasures when you plant them. So I encourage people to spend a dollar or two on some bulbs in the fall. Good investment. For most part, they do naturalize. For the most part, we've got some parrot tulips that were a big cluster of parrot tulips that were there when we bought this home back in 1997. And reliably, every year that cluster comes up.
Still,
albeit it's not as strong as it was at the beginning, but it's.
Do you feed them? Do you?
I don't think we do it enough. Yeah. I don't think we feed them enough. I think we should be feeding them.
Because, I was thinking if they're getting tired, just like with other perennials, if you give them a little boost, generally that does help. But you'd have to be literally when they're blooming, you'd be starting to feed them, to get them started early. And then after they bloom, keep on feeding and then just let them go dormant.
That's the time, yeah.
Which brings to mind the timing, because we talk about bulbs and people go like, oh, when can I do my bulbs? Oh, I got to wait till November, or I got to wait till October. It's like, no, they're already in the ground sitting there waiting. Yeah. And so the ones that are in boxes or bags or whatever, they're just sitting there waiting too. They're waiting for winter.
They want to be in the ground.
Yeah, they're waiting for winter, and then they're going to get going when it warms up after winter. So they're monitoring the temperature. And so if you could get them now and plant them now, you're fine.
Yeah. Worrying about planting bulbs too early is a misnomer. People should not worry about that because, after all, I would just always explain, just like you did, Ken, the bulbs in the ground aren't going to start blooming. That's the whole key. They go, okay, I don't want to plant these bulbs because they're going to start growing. Well, they won't because they need that cooling period to trigger that.
Yeah.
And so tulips, daffodils, crocus. Crocus are corms as well, for the most part. Maybe not the fall crocus, not the and those things, but they are the spring blooming.
It's not
crocus.
A real crocus, though.
Yeah,
Colchicum.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of the saffron
crocus sativa.
Saffron sativa.
Yeah, and is it's not a corm?
It's not a corm. It's a little bulb. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool.
Interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, there you have it. So I would suggest that you get out there and buy some bulbs because and there's also just remember, Ken mentioned this years ago, and I followed that advice to plant in bouquets, in groupings, and have in that grouping, have something that comes up early, mid-season, and late.
Yeah.
And so you've got that bouquet constantly changing and evolving in the garden. And instead of just lily, throwing them around the garden, you want to have them in groupings, and that you get more impact that way.
Yeah, it's. I always say I like 5 bulbs in a hole minimum, and there's no limit to that. Like you can go up to 30 bulbs in a hole if you want. You just got to have a bigger hole. Yeah. But you get such a beautiful bouquet out of that. It's quite a show. Now the other method of bulb planting is that where you're putting one every 10 inches or every 12 inches, and you just cover an entire area. And in that case, it makes it difficult to change the plantings because you're always chopping them up when you're digging, or if you're going to say have another crop coming on or some other flowering plant, annuals or whatever. There's still that chance of just chopping them up. So what often happens is people go in and dig them all up again after they go dormant, and then they take them all out, and that's what they call lifting the bulbs and getting them into a semi-storage condition, and then replanting the area, maybe with annuals to enjoy for the summer, and then coming back, But as you say, you don't have to do that because the bulbs are good on their own,
as long as you don't,
and they'll survive.
Them.
And people are, I've told this story I don't know how many times about when we used to bring in 3 to 500 bulbs on a regular basis and just plant them all over the yard. We'd build these little piles of 10 or 15 bulbs here and there, and then Wendy would place them out, and I would follow behind and dig them in, go along and dig them all in, and then I missed a couple piles, and they were just sitting on the surface. And you know what? Those things, they just sat there over winter, and not a mild winter, like cold, without cover, without snow cover, most of it. Like here in the Okanagan, we often get that dry winter with the cold winds and miserable. And, they didn't mind a bit. They just rooted in on the surface and grew right on the surface. I was so surprised. And, they lived for years and years. And the one bunch that I missed was in 2008. And they were still good up till last year. And we actually had to dig out that area. And so I lost them. They were a beautiful, dark pink. Tulip was actually my favorite tulip. And so there you go. Like our tulips, winter hardy, well, yeah, down to about minus 28 easily on the surface.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine if you buried them?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And, of course, one last thing before we go to break. Scott Austin just gave us a ding and thanked us for the mention of the Summerland ornamental.
Yeah.
And shout out to Scott Austin.
Yeah.
Great guy, great friend. And, we're going to get him down here one of these days, get him in the studio. And, pick his brains and do some fun. Have some fun.
Yeah, you bet.
We're going to do a short break here. We invite your calls. 250-862-2525, locally here. 1-888-780-4273 if you're calling from out of town, anywhere online, listening online. And we will be back with The Garden Show after this short break. We are back with you and enjoying every darn minute of it. Ken and I love coming in on Saturday mornings here, and it's a rainy morning. I noticed Ken came in with his fall KHS vest on, which is a sign that things the times they are changing.
Times are changing, yeah.
Yeah, we both still have shorts on, but we got goosebumps on our legs.
Oh yeah, when we stepped out the door this morning, I just did an about face, went straight in and grabbed my vest and had a little bit of that extra warmth. Yeah, it's lovely though. That to me, I love the fall. I love the seasons when they change. We're talking fall. Here we are we're approaching. This is the last week of August coming up. And so, that's it's funny. Every year it's a little bit different. Sometimes it's just cooking hot right to the end of August. Sometimes, it just changes every year. And this year, I'm curious to see how September plays out.
Okay. Ken, my messenger thing's messed up. I have to get a 5-year-old to come in here and help me fix it. Maddie's older than 5, but she can help me. Maddie, who do we have on the line? Dan Bruce is on the line. Okay. And you're going to have to come and help me with my messenger. It's all messengered up.
It's messengered up.
Good morning, Dan Bruce. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm a little damp, and that's just fine.
Oh, it's just fine is
awesome.
Right. Yeah, things are moistening up. That's great.
Yes. Well, And I'm going over to Fintry tomorrow to conduct tours in the Manor House in the afternoon.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
But lately I've been doing a little reading about Lady Edith Blake.
Okay.
Who was born in 1845 in Ireland.
She sounds important.
And she died in 1926. So she was certainly up and doing when Fintry was working. Quite the lady. She was involved in so many different things. To reduce her career to a short radio spot is impossible. But she married Henry Blake in 1874 against the wishes of her family.
What was wrong with Henry?
She and Henry eloped.
Ooh.
And he was a member of the Royal Irish Constabulary and a magistrate in Ireland. And his position in Ireland at that time sort of laid him a little bit open to Irish insurgent sympathies. Unjustified, because in fact the Blakes were totally sympathetic to Irish people who had been, let's say, abused by landlords and the system. Anyway, when they were out and about, when Henry was doing his work in Ireland, and they traveled together, it was Edith sitting beside him who had a loaded revolver under her traveling blanket, just in case.
Quite the lady.
She was interested in natural history and very much interested in gardening and plants. Perhaps a little bit to everyone's surprise, Henry Blake was offered a governorship in the British Empire. He was appointed governor of the Bahamas, where he went and got in touch immediately with the director of Kew Gardens and said that the inspector of agriculture in the Bahamas was totally incompetent, and please would he find somebody who could replace him, who knew what was going on with regard to plants and soil and all that sort of stuff. All the time this was going on, Edith was with him, and she collected specimens, made notes, developed her own particular style of watercolor painting, which of course in those days stood in for photography.
Right.
Then he was asked to be governor of Newfoundland, which he did for a short time, but significantly there, it was he and Edith, and they always did everything together. He and Edith introduced the SPCA to Newfoundland. And they established a society there, had their first meeting, and got it going. Then he was sent as governor of Jamaica.
Wow.
Where Edith produced 190 something or other watercolor paintings of Jamaican plants with the various species of moths with their caterpillars and everything.
Wow. That's amazing.
So that's a connection you have, because you lived quite a while in Jamaica.
There, yes, yes. And I actually found the lost location of an archaeological site in Jamaica by reading an account that Lady Blake wrote.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And she said, if you go here, you can see this. If you go there, then you can see that. And by that time, you should be at this point. And I just followed exactly what she said, and she was absolutely right.
Awesome.
Anyway,
where did she lived, of course, in Britain, but where did she live there all her life? Or eventually, did she pass away in Britain?
Finally, yes.
Yes.
But after Jamaica, it was sent to Hong Kong, and from Hong Kong, Henry Blake was appointed governor of Ceylon, which is now Sri Lanka. He was knighted, so it was now Sir Henry and Lady Edith. But the other amazing thing is that wherever they went, Lady Blake learnt the local language.
Really?
So, I mean, she was well educated, and to people's surprise, I mean, most unusually at that time, she became fluent in Chinese.
Wow, that is amazing.
So to this day, her almost 200 paintings are in the Natural History Museum in London, and I've seen reproductions of a few of them. But there is a rumor out there that descendants are proposing to publish a biography of her, which would be a very interesting thing. But as far as I know, it hasn't been published yet. It may not actually have been written yet, but something to look forward to.
Before I let you go, Dan, how do you become a lady? Like, how do you get that moniker, lady?
Well, if the man has been knighted, then the wife automatically becomes lady in association with sir.
Cool.
And there are also ways where a lady can be elevated in her own right. And of course, there are a whole lot of people out there who should have had these honors but never did get them.
Right.
Like me.
Like you, of course.
Like you,
of course.
yeah.
Sir Dan Bruce. We're going to have to run, Dan, but that was very interesting.
Awesome, yeah. Very
it's Edith
fascinating.
Blake, Lady Edith Blake?
Lady Edith Blake.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up because it's a very fascinating story.
Yeah, she was amazing.
You know, it's amazing the lives that are lived in this world, and sometimes, Dan, you bring them to light, and very interesting. Lady Edith Blake. Thank you, buddy.
All right.
Take care. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks, Dan. Yep. Bye-bye.
Amazing. Amazing. That's always,
she was brilliant.
Well, you know, there's so many people that I learned through people like Dan Bruce and others that lived their lives in the, you know, and a lot of them that Dan brings to light are folks that are involved in either gardening or horticulture in general.
Yeah.
We were talking about bulbs before we took the break and Dan came on. One of the things we used to do, we had a contract. I'm talking about the 60s and 70s. We had a contract with Chevron, with the Chevron people.
Yeah.
I don't know if we were still when you came on board.
I did some of the annual plantings.
Yeah. What we did was in the fall we would plant red emperor tulips and King Alfred daffs.
Right.
Those two came up in the spring early and bloomed. Red emperor tulips, King Alfred daffs. The combination.
And they came at the same time. Is that right?
Came exactly the same time.
Perfect, yeah.
So that's a hint for you. If you want something, a nice bouquet again, you get red emperor tulips and King Alfred daffs.
Yeah.
And we do that. And when they were finished, we would, and we were ready to plant our annuals out, we would go and dig these all out. We wouldn't leave them in to come back the following year. We'd just dig them out and plant new ones the next year. Mm-hmm. But we'd take these and we'd set them aside, and sometimes we pot them up, sometimes we bury them, whatever. But we were able to utilize those bulbs. We didn't throw them out. We utilized them for various things. So that's a hint for you. Red Emperor tulips and King Alfred daffs.
Great combination.
Good combination. We're going to take a short break here. We do invite your calls. 250-862-2525 to get through to us locally here, and 1-888-780-4273 if you're calling from out of the city of Kelowna area and or anywhere online. We will be back with The Garden Show after this short break.
Alrighty, we are back, and it's still raining a little bit out there, but I love it when it rains. It's beautiful. You know, I planted some onion seeds. Oh. Actually, I stole them from your house, Don, just so you know. Oh.
From those, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, well, see, what the problem when you want to plant onions in early August is ideal, but you need to get fresh onion seed. Mm-hmm. And the problem is onions don't produce seed until about the middle of August or something like that. And so when I was over at your place, and with Donna gave me the go ahead to help myself. And I was just like, chop, chop, chop. You know, I took some of those seed. And so I took them home. I dried them out a little bit. And, you know, the seed all just came, you know, they started to pop open. You could see the beautiful black seeds in there. So I went out to the garden because I had already planted a whole bunch. Well, Wendy planted a whole bunch of seeds that we had out of packages. And we got one onion germinating. Mm-hmm. And so then I've applied all the seed on it into that same area. I just want it thick with onions. I don't care, you know, how many, just lots. And so far, they're actually starting to germinate already.
Wonderful. That is that red Spanish onion.
Oh,
that's a red Spanish onion.
Love it.
We have Donna joining us. Good morning, Donna.
Hello.
Good morning.
I just have a question. I have been overwintering my cannas, and so I've had them 3 years. And so the first year, of course, they bloomed. I had bought them. And then the second year, they didn't bloom. And I mean, they're beautiful, wonderful colored leaves, but no flower. And I thought, well, I left them too late because I put them right into the ground. So this year, I planted them into pots early, April, or maybe, probably beginning of April. Mm-hmm. So they'd have the head start right inside. And no, I've got all the beautiful leaves, but no flowers still. So I'm wondering, what am I doing wrong?
No, it's not. I don't think what it basically is that they have a sort of minimum number of weeks before they bloom, and it's beginning of April is not quite early enough to make a big difference. Like it will, like they'll still bloom here in September. You'll get some blooms and they'll be fine. But to get them to bloom like in July, you pretty much got to start them at the end of February indoors. So it's quite early. And you'll find that a lot of the growers who produce them, say, for garden centers, that sort of thing, anybody who has greenhouse operations, you know, they'll be potting them all up likely in about, you know, early to mid-February, getting them ready to go, starting to get them rooting in. But they're in a greenhouse, right? So it's nice and warm, and they get excited and they start to grow right away. But it's just this thing that number of weeks from when they first shoot to when they actually produce a flower can be quite some time. It can be, you know, 4 months or 5 months. So, you know, if you're starting them super early, you're just going to move that ahead a little bit. You know, other than that, you know, we know they're heavy feeders. They need a lot of food. So, you know, I've been feeding mine quite a bit, and you know what? Mine haven't started blooming either, because I did a similar thing. I had them in these pots, and I could have just brought them up and started watering them and get them going. But I failed to do that. I just left them, and then I thought, I better pull out those cannas, and here it was like end of April or something. And so they're all beautiful now, but I'm not experiencing a lot of bloom.
Probably get some bloom in the fall, though. I mean, ours are the same. I got some cannas from a friend this year, a whole whack of them, and they're beautiful. They're just beautiful plants. They're in 2-gallon pots right now. They're not in the ground. They're in 2-gallon pots. And be darned if there's no bloom at all on them. And yet all through the neighborhood, including the place where the person who gave me these last year, they're in full bloom. So they kind of have a mind of their own. But, you know, I think you will get some color yet this year. You should.
I mean, they're very tall, and like I said, the leaves are gorgeous. But you know, if that's all I'm going to get, then I have to think about doing them differently. Where I'm just using the color of the leaf, right? I'm not
right.
I'm not expecting the flower, but I thought, okay, so I have to go. I don't know if I can do that early. That's.
It's just one of those things, like even if, regardless of whether they have the perfect growing conditions, but if they're in a pot, like I often will just take my plants and move the entire pot into storage for the winter, so I don't actually take them out. But if you have huge pots, that's not always possible. But you take chunks, put them into pots in the fall when you do your divisions and whatnot, and then put them into storage in the pots. That way, like, I'm saying like a 1 gallon pot, so it's usually those are about 6 inches in diameter or so. Right. And then you can take those up, set them along a windowsill, as soon as you can. They need a little bit of warmth. They don't like to be on a cold windowsill, let's put it that way. It needs to be sort of bright, but just a little bit of warmth. And that's all you need is just to get them shooting a little bit. It makes a difference.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
it's not. I have a small home, and I have lots of house plants. I can't see. I mean, I overwinter my geraniums and stuff in the garage and things, but I cannot see how this is going to work. I think I'm going to have to think about, the summer will only be leaves and
or you have to go buy them.
Or the other thing is just high phosphorus fertilizers. That does promote blossom, so you might try that.
Well, I do 20-20-20, so
right, but it's got a lot of nitrogen, and that's why the tops are looking so good. But if you want to push for blossom, then you want to go 15-30-15, or you want to go maybe 10-60-10. I mean, really pour the phosphorus to them. See if that doesn't push the bloom.
Okay, so
that's a bloom booster.
30-15, is that what you said?
15-30-15 is a Miracle Grow product, and then of course the 10-60-10 is the blooming. You can get that very high middle number and see if that doesn't push them.
Okay, wonderful.
Give that a shot.
So much. Okay,
thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
And we have Bill on the line. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Don. How you doing?
Excellent, man.
Oh, good. So I got to let you know the little project we did in the shop the other day, taking a couple of sow out, worked perfect.
Oh, that's wonderful. Don's Machine Shop. Yeah, right. So, well, you did all the lining up. That was pretty good.
It was fun. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah,
you bet. So, my sister, we got our eggplants in the ground really late, and we're just starting to get fruit now. Mm-hmm. And is it advisable, if we start thinning out the plants some, will that push the fruit that started? Because we got 40 plants in the ground, so it's not like we need a lot off of any given plant. Right.
Well, thinning them out definitely is going to allow more energy to the more productivity to the ones left. There's no question about that.
Yeah. Okay. That was kind of what I was thinking, but figured, well, we're going to give you a call and get that confirmed, because if we do something wrong, then it's not going to do us any good at all. Did
you plant the eggplant seed directly into the garden, or did you start the plants early?
Like, were they seedlings?
Planted them, but did you start them from seed? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And you started them and then planted them out, or did you?
Put them in the pots and then we transplanted them into the ground.
Gotcha.
And but what we did was a lot of them put them in where the garlic came out.
Right.
And so they didn't go in the ground, and those ones didn't get in the ground until July.
Wow.
Yeah, and the farmers generally, when we were selling eggplant and peppers and things to the farmers, they planted them the eggplants about 15 inches apart in a row. Yeah. So okay.
And
great.
Okay, Bill.
Thank you, sir. Have a good
betcha.
day.
Thanks for calling.
Okay.
Yeah, and those eggplants are heat lovers, so there's no advantage planting them earlier than 1st of June.
Yeah,
they're in the same category as basil. But remember, this year it was pretty chilly at the beginning of June. June was not a hot month for us. I think maybe at the beginning of June it was warm, and then it got cooler as we went through. It was kind of cold. It was kind of cool at the beginning of July, and then all of a sudden it switched. So.
It really got hot in July, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
there you go. Anyway, we've got another whole hour of blistering hot garden show coming up after the 9 o'clock break. We do invite your calls, 250-862-2525. To get through to us, and 1-888-780-4273 if you're calling from out of town, anywhere in the Victoria area or Penticton, and anywhere listening online. And I'll tell you, coming into the fall, as my tip of the week was, this is a fresh, new gardening season coming up.
Yeah.
So get your gardening gloves and boots on and get out there and do some. You're going to find things really grow at this time of year.
Oh,
The heat isn't an issue. it's just a wonderful
And
time.
those annuals that kick in again, like bacopa, people who love bacopa, that's a plant that when it's super hot in the summertime, they kind of do okay, but they're not great. But then as soon as you get some of these cool nights, away they go. And talk about beans. Oh, my God. My pole beans, I had, mine have been blooming and blooming, but not setting any fruit. And now I'm loaded. And this just happened in the last week.
Well, mine too.
Yeah.
Mine too. My Jack and the Beanstalk beans are just doing well. Jack, if you're listening, the beans are doing really, really well.
Yeah, it's success.
So we're going to take a short break here to listen to the news and whatnot, and we are going to be back after that with more of The Garden Show. All that talk about cannas, and Bonnie sent me Ken and I an email with a picture of her canna. She's just showing off, Bonnie. You're just showing off.
Showing off. That's gorgeous.
It's a beautiful color and a really double kind of a thing.
It's just very cool. Full and a deep, deep, dark pink, almost magenta color. But hard to say how it shows up on the cell phone, but it's a beautiful sight.
Cool. Very, very cool.
Nice job, Bonnie.
Now, the Okanagan Historical Society has published their new calendar, their 2025 calendar, and it's celebrating 100 years of rail in Kelowna. In the Okanagan, way back in the day, before the 1924, prior to 1924, the rail didn't come down and reach Kelowna. It terminated in Penticton, or in Vernon, I should say. Mm-hmm. And what happened? It was quite a fascinating thing that happened, because the rail ended at Penticton, and then we had all the paddle wheelers. We still have one in Penticton. We highly recommend people to go and see the Sicamous in Penticton. It's a fabulous boat. Huge, very large boat for the Okanagan. It was the largest of the 3 or 4 paddle wheelers that were on the Okanagan. And they would come, and that's why we have all along the shorelines, we have these landings, McKinley Landing and Carr's Landing and all the landings. Yep. And they're named after the docks where the Sicamous and the other boats would come in and pick up people.
Yeah, you can still see the posts from the docks. They're still sticking up out of the water.
I know. It's very historical, historical. And the Historical Society's calendar is celebrating that, and they've got great pictures on every month, and great for a gift. If you want to get a hold of one of those calendars, one thing you can do is call Chris Jennings, 250-862-2801. Chris Jennings will help you, steer you in the right direction to get one of those calendars. And they make great gifts, and I have one in my office every year, and I just enjoy it very much.
Yep, they're very, very nice, and they're great shots, and usually from private collections too. A lot of the pictures, which makes it like they're not just common photos.
No. They're pictures that you don't see. A lot of the pictures are pretty standard. You see the ones with the casources on the horse and all, all the different ones. But these are pictures quite often that are coming from personal collections, family collections of pictures. And we do, as we older folks are leaving, please, kids, don't just grab all our boxes and throw them into the garbage, because there's lots of good stuff in there. And I know, Donna, for me, Donna says the funeral will be at 10 and the garage sale starts at 1. But so anyway, hey, last week you had a couple of guests on, Jerry DeHaze and Tony Conan, talking about their production of Gene, Gene, at Mary Irwin Theater. Fabulous night. It was really well received. I introduced Jerry to the audience, and of course they kind of knew who we were. I talked about the garden show a little bit, but on the neat thing, they just got word that night that they are accepted into the Sundance Film Festival in Salt Lake City.
Whoa.
This is in January.
Cool.
And they're going for the Toronto Film Festival as well. So a couple of local guys doing that. Hey, good on them. They're having fun. Like Tony says, we're not making any money on it, but we're sure having fun.
Yeah, well, that's what
and
it is.
It's not about money.
It's all about the journey, not the destination.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Very proud of the two of them. This is the time of the year that if you're going to do any work on your iris and your peonies and things like that, your herbaceous peonies, this is the time of year to be lifting them. Like I said, this is a new gardening season coming up, and that's one of the things you can do, isn't it, Ken?
Well, with fall gardening, it's actually the most important time for perennials. Like when you're talking perennial gardening, which includes grasses and, Shasta daisies, delphiniums, echinacеas, all that group, peonies, as you mentioned, irises. It's a huge, huge group, but they all benefit greatly from fall treatments. Now, in with the exception of the grasses, as I threw in there, because grasses are a perennial, but grasses you can reduce them in size in the fall, but they don't really benefit from being dug out and divided and replanted, at least not too late in the season, because they don't survive if they're disturbed too late in the season. So often the grasses, we just kind of push them right till spring, just so we have 100% success. Because as soon as they start getting a sense that things are warming up in the spring, their roots get super activated and they're ready to go. So if you want to dig up a couple grasses and divide them and move them around the garden and add a row here or a couple extras there, you can do that in the spring and have 100% success. But not so much in the fall. So I would say if you have to move some grasses, you want to do it sooner rather than later. I'd rather do it right now. Like at end of August or early September, but I wouldn't push it much past that first week.
Because you want to get them reestablished.
If you want, they have to get rooting, and they need 6 weeks or so, at least. So at least here in the Okanagan, I would envision or imagine, in coastal regions when you get that nice, cool, long fall that runs right till December, pretty much. I think that could be an exception. And again, if there are people listening, in the Victoria area that wanted to chime in on this particular topic, of what successes they have. Of course, they have such a wide scope of grasses there that are quite different, like the pampas grass, which is really just about a weed in the coastal areas. So you have to be careful with that one. But that's a plant that I don't know. Maybe it's a good one to do in the fall. Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm liking more that's a Cortidaria family, Cortidaria salona, the dwarf forms, which are probably much better now than the old-fashioned pampas grass. But with grasses in general, that's my general rule is, if I have to reduce them in size, I can do it without totally disturbing them. So in other words, cut away 2/3 of the grass and leave one portion of it in place and then just fill in around it with some fresh compost. Yeah. And that's what I would do in the fall if I had to. And then other than that, do it in the spring, and then you just have success all the way around in the spring.
But the interesting thing is grasses do need maintenance. They tend to start competing with themselves, and you end up with this very similar to iris, the rhizomus iris, where you have the center dying out and you just have the grass. Yeah, and I've done that with my one of my favorite upright grasses, early grasses, is the calamagrostis, the variegated one.
Yeah, overdam.
Overdam is a good one.
There's a good one called lightning strike, too.
Oh, is there?
It's a really,
new one?
It's a brighter variegation.
Okay, well, there you go. There's so many new things. But I found that I did that after it was in the ground for about 7 or 8 years. It was just getting tired. I split it up. I gave 5 pieces to my neighbor. They're just beautiful now. And the one that I plunked back in is just gorgeous again. So it really, they do respond to that.
Oh, yeah, rejuvenation. And again, if you're rejuvenating grasses, which you're supposed to do about every 4 to 5 years, you want to do that in the spring if you can.
Because they become competitive within themselves.
Yeah.
They just out-compete each other. Carolyn is joining us. Good morning, Carolyn from Kelowna. Hello, Carolyn.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Sure enjoy your show. Really glad you guys are continuing to do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have a small garden, and I planted 2 or 3 years ago some pinks in it.
Mm-hmm.
They've expanded and are taking over way too much room.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to cut them back, but I'd also like to shorten them some. Is that a good idea? Like, will it continue to grow if I do a really harsh pruning on it, or should I look for a dwarf variety?
Well, that's an excellent question because it does, come back to the old right plant, right place scenario, which is just where you do get the right size plant for the right spot. And if you're feeling that particular, it's a dianthus group, the pinks, and some of them, this is a taller variety then? Is it one that's...
Not really.
No?
There may be, I don't know, but they're less than a foot, probably
so they're just,
8 inches.
So they're sprawling.
Spreading out.
They're sprawling, that's right.
Yeah. So you can cut them back, and generally after they bloom, you would go in with your, I just use my pruning shears, and I'll try to find where the center of the plant is, and I'll remove the outer portion of that back to the center, and that tends to rejuvenate the middle of the plant, and it gets it growing back out from the middle again. And generally you can, because sometimes these things, they'll get 3 feet across, but when you lift them up off the ground, they're just resting on the ground. They're not actually fully rooted. And so...
You're talking my plant.
Yeah. So then you can just snip around that center part, and then that just rejuvenates it a bit and gets it back to its central spot, so it's not so big.
Should I do some root pruning too to keep it a little smaller?
I don't know so much. The only thing I would do is add sort of a fresh bit of compost around them after you trim them back. And you could do that right now, trim them back now. And so we still have maybe another 8 weeks here of between fall and summer at least. Yep. And that's enough time for that plant to kind of rejuvenate a bit and be good to go into winter. And then next spring, the thing should just explode and grow.
Yep.
Exactly, yeah. So back to my original, maybe I'll look for a dwarf plant because I'm going to end up with the same issue again.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
There's a lot of the really good varieties like... I'm trying to think of one called Frosty Fire, which is a nice one that stays small. And when I say small, usually about 18 inches or so.
Yeah, but I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, and there's several of them out there, and one of our favorites is Lady Aberdeen, which is hard to get, but it's so fragrant. It's a little double, multicolored, like a mini carnation, only about 4 or 5 inches tall. But what a beauty!
That they are hard to get, because that's something I really was looking for, was something with that fragrance that they don't all have anymore.
Yeah. It's a little hard to get probably at this time of year, but when spring comes, visit every garden center and look through their dianthus selection and find some of those ones that are sort of clumpy and small, and there's a lot of good ones.
Lady Aberdeen has quite a history behind it, but we're going to have to, Carolyn, leave you right now, but we'll chat about Lady Aberdeen dianthus when we come back with the garden show after this short break.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Okay, bye-bye.
And that's that. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with the garden show after this short break. Well, looking at Elaine Cameron's activities in her garden kind of mirror what we've been doing. She's redoing her iris and whatnot. She's also picking beans right now, starting to pick her beans, which is something we were just talking about, how the beans are coming on.
And there's a connection between her and our Lady Aberdeen dianthus we were just talking about.
That was the segue, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And
Lady Aberdeen dianthus was brought in from England and planted at the Gushigan Gardens back in the day. And as Ken was saying, they started when Ken and Wendy started their nursery. They grew it as a
garden perennial,
and then other nurseries picked it up. So it is available. Lady Aberdeen dianthus.
Yeah, it's lovely.
And you mentioned the name, the
category.
Category.
Yeah, clove pinks, I think, is the category, and I'm sure Wendy, if you're listening, you can text me if that's incorrect, but I'm pretty sure that's what it had something to do with the fragrance, but very, very strong fragrance for a little shorty. Like it's only about 6 inches tall or so. And what a beautiful thing. But named after Lady Aberdeen, who actually Lady Aberdeen did she not own that property?
Well, yes, Aberdeen's bought that property. The 350 acres there, they bought that in 1894 or something like that.
Yeah,
and they had it for a few years. They bought as well a huge property up in Coldstream. The Coldstream Ranch is actually originally purchased by Lord and Lady Aberdeen.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it is great history, and of course, it kind of ties in with Victoria too, because Victoria is. Has quite the British background, and Lord and Lady Aberdeen, I'm sure, went to Victoria a few times to visit the gardens there back in the day. 250-862-2525 to get through to us locally here, and if you're calling from out of town, 1-888-780-4273. It's a free call, and we've got Jack joining us on line one. Good morning, Jack.
Good morning. Yes, of course, I'm listening.
Well, hey, Jack.
I'm not out of town. That's fitted in between the garden market between 7 and 8, and coffee with my neighbors at 10. So,
well, you should pop by and see that darn bean plant of yours. You gave me, I think, 6 seeds. 2 of them germinated, and that's all I needed was 2.
Well, I just sent you a picture, so you know I'm not exaggerating. Mine have got to the top of a 16 or 17 foot railing that I've got up from from the garage. They go higher. They're starting to grow down now, and sunflowers about after the wind they've knocked them down. But the sunflowers are, I don't know, I'm not exaggerating, 15, 16 feet. Canna lilies are up to 7 or 8 feet. But I'm also looking behind them. And you know the song, Yes, We Got No Potatoes?
Oh.
Well, I got no tomatoes.
Oh, dear.
I have no idea why. And peppers, they don't grow either.
No blossom or just...
well, there's a few blossoms, but maybe they're in a too cold a place. They don't get the sun all day.
Yeah. And, well, they are sun lovers, you know.
Well, I grew them last year where the beans were, and I couldn't pick them fast enough, but I guess that's the problem.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing, you brought these beans in from Barcelona, which is kind of cool.
those beans, eh? Okay.
Yeah, I know. I love those beans. But I just want to know what kind of a bean I'm going to expect.
I don't know. I didn't keep the wrapper.
But what kind of a bean am I going to expect here? Is they're about 3 inches.
Even when they get big and big, they really don't grow tough.
Okay.
So
we're excited. We love beans, and we're going to see what they do. And of course, I can save some seed from this too, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then you can start giving them away. I mean, it's very illegal to bring them in. I found that out later.
Oh boy. Oh.
So I may be in trouble.
We're on the air here, Jack.
I do not know how I'm going to get to pick these beans, because I'm sure as hell not going up 15 foot
You'll have to get a lift of some sort.
But it's nice to have the garden growing the way it is. But anyway, thank you for taking
Jack,
my call, and love your show.
And Jack, one more thing, because I had an email from asking for your recipe on deer repellent, your home recipe. They want to know what it is, and I couldn't find the thing.
Oh, it's really simple.
I know. Okay.
It's an egg.
One egg.
With about a liter of water. And throw in, I would think, I don't know how much baking soda, a teaspoon. I don't know. I really don't measure anymore. And you mix it all up in a blender, and you put it in a jar, or put it in your sprayer.
Yep.
Get it in the sun until it gets good and ripe, and then spray it on the stuff. I haven't had much trouble with deer this year.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, they probably residual Jack's formula there.
Well, and if you have any left over, just save it over the winter, because it gets even riper, and then you can make new stuff and put it out, and it'll keep them away.
I love the term ripe.
Yeah,
Jack,
well, it gets pretty ripe. The neighbors will know that you've been spraying. That's for darn sure.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Appreciate it. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thanks,
bye-bye
Jack.
now.
Bye-bye.
And we have Jeffrey in Victoria. Jeffrey, welcome to the show.
Hi. I have a question about roses. I have 2 roses I bought, rose bushes that I bought installed about 7 years ago, and they've been lovely. However, this year, In between two healthy rose bushes, I've got two rose bushes that just suddenly died. Their leaves, they stopped blooming. The leaves are brown. However, from the base of the rose, there are new sprouts coming up. Looks perfectly healthy. They're going straight to the sky, but they seldom flower. If they do, they're a totally different color.
Yeah.
I've been told that that these kind of rose bushes are grafted onto a host, and the host is taking over. I'm not quite sure, but can I save them, or do I just dig them up? Because they're the most beautiful lavender and peach. I like them very much.
The original
I don't know
ones.
if their time is done.
Yeah, if the top dies and they're grafted right onto a seedling rose, then the top will often die. The roots are generally quite healthy, and they continue to grow on. And this is what you get is these tall, skinny shoots, and they'll bloom, but they usually bloom better on old wood rather than new wood. Sometimes they get these semi-double red sort of flowers, which is a typical.
They're red. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's a seedling variety. They're not particularly great roses, but that means that the rose has gone wild, and that's the term for that, is when the top dies and the roots come on. And you should just dig them out, get rid of them, and go back. If you still find the tag on them, they sometimes have a little metal tag or plastic tag on them that has the name. If you know the name, you can go rebuy them again and protect them and get them in the ground. The thing they do sometimes freeze in the wintertime. That's one of the problems.
Did I do something to cause this?
No, I think what happened here, Jeffrey, this is what happened. You had that January phenomenon that happened in the middle of January where it's so mild all winter long, and then all of a sudden a hard freeze. Now, in Victoria, it didn't freeze like it did here, but you still got colder temperatures than you normally get. And that particular rose might have been a hybrid tea, which is one of the less hardy ones. And if it wasn't covered, this is probably what's happened.
Yeah. Okay, because I have an identical one. They're called Just Joey's.
Oh, Just Joey, yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
should be good.
I have one that seems to be fine, and it's right beside.
Well, it's they've got their own personality and their own concerns. They're individual, these plants. I mean, that happens. I mean, I've seen a boxwood die right next to one that's fully alive, So you have the name, and it's one of my favorite hybrid teas is Just Joey. I've got one as well. Beautiful rose, and just go out and buy another one.
Yeah, and watch where it has died back. If you look down right where they all join together at the base, and you're looking for this bubbly looking wood, meaning like wood or stem that's got really corky looking. And if you see this, looks like it's almost like I'll use the term sort of cancerous growth at the base. It's called a gall, and rose gall is a bad thing, and it'll spread from rose to rose, plant to plant. And so that's another reason why when a rose dies like that mysteriously, sometimes you want to just get rid of it before it has a chance to spread around. And, just in case, so if you see any of that corky growth right near the base, right where the tissues have died, you got to be careful with that.
Dig it out.
Get rid of it.
Yep.
Time-sensitive thing. Come back in the spring and start again.
Yeah.
You bet.
Yeah. Hope it doesn't come back.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate the call.
Bye.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
We've got a couple of folks waiting online to Joanne, for instance, from Vernon, but we've got to take a break, folks, and we will take that break, and we will be back with the Garden Show after this short break. There we are. We're back with you, and we're inviting and welcoming Joanne to the show. Joanne from Vernon.
Hi.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
We are well, thanks, and how are you?
Good, thanks.
That's good.
I just moved into a gated community, and the yard needs to be done, the backyard and the front yard.
Mm-hmm.
And is it too late to have the landscapers do it this year? Should I wait till spring?
No, it can be done anytime. From a horticultural standpoint, we have good success doing plantings anytime. I would say sooner the better. It should be ideally before the end of September would be ideal, just because we need a little bit of warmth in the ground to get the roots in. But the real key, there is a key to planting in the fall, and the key is that you have to, when you're planting a plant in the ground, you have to pull the roots out and open them up so that they get in touch with the surrounding soil. So that they can become established through the fall and into the winter. If the plants are just plunked into the ground with the root ball sort of tight and not been spread out a bit, they often will desiccate, dry out over the winter, and often won't survive.
Okay,
and that's the big issue in the Okanagan. The fact is that we don't get a lot of precipitation through the winter, and if it's a new planting and it hasn't got its roots out getting into the outside soil, if it's just that block of root ball going through the winter, it's very easy for that to dry out. And we've seen more death and destruction doing that than ever. So that's the key thing. Fall is a great time to plant. The absolute best time to plant is in that spring window between March, April, May, and June. That's the best time. But there's no bad time.
What about boxwoods? Somebody told me they were touchy. You shouldn't plant them now.
Boxwoods are not particularly difficult. Yeah, with any plant that you newly plant, you have to babysit it. Regardless of irrigation, whether you have irrigation or not, you still got to go along and do hand watering. As it cools off, it's less often, but it still could be twice a week, let's say, if it stays cool like this. It's just enough to make sure there's a sort of a minimum standard of moisture in that soil that's enough to keep those roots sort of progressing forward. If it's left and just ignored, well, then, they're not going to do well. And boxwoods are particularly drought tolerant, but they can only survive so much, right? So, you got to keep an eye on them.
Okay, so I'm going to be putting in dwarf trees, ornamental grasses.
Yeah, the grasses, they should be all right, but it's the same idea, this tearing the root apart, opening them up to get them, in the fall particularly.
And try and get that done before the end of September.
Get it done as soon as you can,
Okay, thanks for your information. That's all I needed to know.
All right.
You betcha. We appreciate your call.
Yeah, thanks for
calling.
calling.
Thanks, Joanne. Okay, bye-bye now. And we have Jason joining us from Victoria. Jason, good morning.
Yeah, hello, guys. Thanks for taking my call. The reason for my call is I would like some advice on a specific tree, and that is a strawberry arbutus tree. I have 3 of them in line. They're bordering my driveway.
Nice.
And the middle guy, she went completely brown, saggy, and the ones on either end are healthy, and the one in the middle looks really sad. Is it done? Do I get the chainsaw out? It's about a 6-inch diameter trunk, about 8-9 feet high.
Wow.
Do I leave it and hopefully let it come back?
So are these things receiving actual regular water supply?
Yes, I was. When I first moved into the house, I was pretty slack on the watering, but I've been giving it really good soakings recently. So, and even stepping up a bit when I saw the heat weather was going in, I saw it starting to turn. So I don't know if it's a watering issue. So.
There's a couple things you should do, and just because they're arbutus, they're one of my all-time favorite plants. If they're just a gorgeous tree. If you could, just continue to do research on this, so that you can figure out exactly what the problem is. You're welcome to send me some pictures. And we can tell by, say, if a leaf starts turning brown or crispy or black spots or, depending on the symptoms on the leaf, we can tell quite a bit from that. And then pictures of where the plant sort of goes into the ground, where the root meets the earth, and that's a key important area for trees and plants. And then sort of looking at the plant right beside it that might be healthy, and then the one that's not healthy. That's a real clear sort of clue. And then the other thing is if I get a branch and it's half dead and half alive, that's an important clue as to what's going on. So a bunch of photos on an email can be super useful, and we can have a look at that, and we can maybe give you some other clues as to what you can look for to continue your journey to figuring out what's going on here.
Sure, that sounds great. I appreciate that. There are a couple of other things. The arbutus specifically what I'm talking about, and the one beside it, which is green and healthy. They have new healthy sprouts coming out right from the base.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, so they are getting bigger and stronger, and
so the one that Jason, the one that you are having difficulties with is actually pushing at the base.
I got the fresh ones coming out right at the base.
So the roots, the roots good. This is a good thing. Something has happened to the arbutus tree itself, whether it might have been that January issue again. I mean, we don't like to blame everything on that, but I'm telling you, that was a real jolt for plants. And in your area, like arbutus would never grow in the Okanagan. And in fact, it doesn't grow everywhere down the coast either. It's, to do really well, arbutus are usually quite close to the ocean, the seashore and whatnot. That's where they live naturally. But, I'm very pleased to hear that. That's one of the first questions I was going to ask was, is it pushing at the base? And if it is, you can regrow that baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
But those pictures that you send will also help us identify whether there's any cankers involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Because arbutus, they're prone to these cankers that will form on the side of the trunk, which is like a distortion or a calloused area that shows up. So, again, feel free to send any of those pictures that you like to ken@growercoach.com. And I don't have that with me now, but when I get back to my office, I can have a look at that over the next couple of days. Yeah, it'd be good.
So all in all, I'll send some pictures off to you, and then you give me advice whether or not I just leave it. The sprouts will do its own thing, or hack it down and let the sprouts do it.
Yeah.
We'll go further with this, and then, like I said, I appreciate that sort of.
Oh yeah,
no problem,
Jason.
More research.
Yep, sounds great. Let's do it.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, Jason, take care.
Thanks for calling. Bye bye.
Yeah, it's that was good news that was coming up at the base. In other words, the root is still alive.
The root is good. Yeah. Then as soon as he said that, I thought, I hope there's not a canker because the cankers will be on the trunk, on the side of the trunk somewhere. Yeah. They can be up higher or lower, but then generally from below the canker you would get natural normal growth, but from above it maybe not.
So you're looking at lesions and things on the trunk. You're looking at boring insects in some cases, maybe not on arbutus, but no, that's good news. Now, different than the other caller, our caller, I think it was Carolyn, maybe perhaps. No, it was somebody from Victoria that, sorry, forgetful here, that had the rose issue. Where I know it was Jeffrey, and he had his Just Joey rose die down.
Yeah.
And it's coming up at the base, but it's coming up from the rootstock, not from above the graft.
Right.
Whereas an arbutus is not on a graft; it's on its own roots.
They're not grafted,
so that's good news.
Yeah, so it should. Yeah, as long as if it is a canker, that's where we have to be a little nervous.
I get a kick out of some of these things, calls from Victoria, Ken, because some of the plant material that they talk about, I drool.
I know.
Yeah, arbutus, what a beautiful plant!
What a beautiful
it's a beautiful plant. And of course, we can't grow that here. And there's a number of things that we talk about in Victoria.
I remember going out to Beacon Hill Park.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you and I were there. Yep. We went with the arborists there, and we're looking at a bunch of big old arbutus there. It was such a lovely sight.
It's a great plant.
Yep.
Look what do you say we take a short break? We've got nobody online right now. Can we do that? Are we allowed to take a short break? Good. We're going to do that. We can take it early, so we got a little bit of time after. We do invite your calls, 250-862-2525 and 1-888-780-4273. It's a free call, long distance. We will be back with the Garden Show after this short break. We are back with you and enjoying being here every minute of the day while we're here. And we are joined by Mark. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. How are you?
Great, thanks. Nice to have you online.
Thank you. I have an ice plant that I planted 2 or 3 years ago. It's in a west-facing garden. It gets the heat of the day. It survived the winter nicely. It's spread out to about 18 inches. Everything looks really good, and it had a nice carpet of yellow flowers in, June-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But once those faded off, it just refuses to bloom. I had one solitary bloom about 3 weeks ago. I sprinkled some granular fertilizer on it, hanging basket fertilizer, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. That hasn't done anything. Is it supposed to bloom at this time of the year?
Probably not, unfortunately. A lot of the Delosperma groups, or there's a couple different families that are these ice plant varieties, and they do perform quite nicely earlier so the first part of summer, but then they kind of just finish up, and that's it for the rest of the year. And you do get the occasional bloom. Sometimes they'll even give you a little flush in September when the temperatures cool off a little bit. But yeah, they're really a earlier blooming plant.
Yeah, I think mine just bloomed the one time, but they do bloom for quite a while. Mm-hmm. But after that, they're just the foliage.
Okay, so when I bought it, I thought it said it would bloom from summer through fall. That's what the tag indicated.
Yeah, well,
maybe in perfect greenhouse.
Well, yeah. Sometimes the guy who makes the tags is an optimist, because it is a funny thing. I used to make literally thousands and thousands and thousands of tags, and I used to have to do the write-ups and everything on them, and get the pictures. I had to do all that stuff for years, and the thing was that when I first started doing it, I was very optimistic. That the plant, this grows exactly 3 feet wide and 2 feet high. And but that's the one thing people don't realize is that when nurseries buy tags, the first thing the tag company asks is, what would you like on the tags? And we go like, don't you guys know? And they go, no, we're computer geeks. We don't know anything about plants, but we can do tags. So then we have to write it, send them the information, and it comes to us. So you never know really what the info is going to be.
Okay. All right, that's helpful. Then the other thing is I have a Shasta daisy. It's a solid white, and it's really sort of feathery, ragged sort of petals.
Yep.
And on the coast, it used to bloom right through the summer and have really nice blooms on it. And this one here, it's right next to the ice plant, so it's getting that same sun exposure. And there's 1 or 2 blooms on it. The plant is looking kind of smallish. It just hasn't really jumped
Mark,
up.
Yeah, and things do grow differently here. Mark, we're going to have to. We got 3 other people waiting online here before the end of the show, but we love to hear from you, and keep it up. If you have any more questions, you can either email Ken or I, or just call in again next week.
Okay.
Yeah,
thank you, buddy.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that.
You
too,
betcha.
Yeah.
We'll help you out.
Estuary daisies, they particularly just bloom in the month of earlier, and they finish off in the summer.
You bet.
As well.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
And we have Henry joining us. Good morning, Henry.
Yeah, good morning. Listen, I have 2 cucumber plants. One is producing cucumbers. The other one is just growing. It's about 6 feet in diameter. The spread.
Mm-hmm. It's got flowers?
It's got hundreds of yellow flowers on it, but no cucumbers.
Yeah, so what we need to do is look at those flowers and look at the base of each flower and look for a little miniature cucumber. So
there is no miniature cucumbers.
So that means they're all male flowers. So for whatever reason, that one plant is predominantly male, and it's not producing the female little mini cucumbers. So often what happens with a lot of the cucurbits, different plants, they'll often produce all the male flowers first to attract the pollinators, and then later on the female flowers come, and then the pollinators come, and they've got pollen on them, and then everything's good to go. So that's the system, but for whatever reason, you've got one plant that's just stubborn to switch.
I just planted 2 plants, and one producing and one not.
And they're both of the same variety, Henry?
Yes.
Same variety. Interesting.
That's a little bit of genetic diversity in the seeds there. But, I guess sooner or later it will produce a female flower, and it should produce. But you've got one winner and one loser.
That's a puzzle. Henry, we're going to have to carry on here because we've got a couple more callers to take before the end of the show, but we always like to hear from you.
Thanks very much.
Take care,
Thanks
sir.
for calling.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye now. And we have Ariel joining us. Good morning, Ariel.
Quick question. You said we could split up stuff. What about Ligularia? I've got one I want to split up. Can I do it today?
Yes, you can. Yep.
Ken says yes.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Ariel. Thanks for the call.
Good
Take
luck.
care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Is that both dentata and the rocket?
Oh, yeah.
Both
They
ligularias?
divide pretty well. The key is keeping them moist right after,
That's right.
or dividing them on a rainy day. If we could only have a rainy day.
You bet. We've got Sharon joining us from Victoria. Good morning,
Hi,
Sharon.
I'm from Soggy Sandwich, and I can make it in 3 minutes before your next traffic commercial thing. That's what pays for the show from an old radio girl. Okay, I like your good combo today for the tulips, okay? My question to you today is, it's a good combo. It's the red emperor tulips.
Yes.
What height are they? Or is it dwarf in different ones?
No, red emperors are quite a short early tulip that's about the same size as your King Alfred daffodil.
Oh, King Alfred's bloom a lot longer than red emperors. Don't red emperors have a black center or green center?
Yeah, it's got a black center.
Why do some of them have green centers?
I'm not sure.
Slightly different
Maybe they're
variety.
Irish.
Yeah.
No, they're the people who conquer America. Who's Columbus? No, I'll be quick. The King Alfred daffodils last way longer than the red emperors does. Daffodils always do. So how can they be a good combo?
Well, I'll
Is
tell
one
you.
female, one male? No.
You're calling from Victoria, and every area has its own kind of treatment for plants. That's why writing tags for general purposes don't always come to fruition properly because every area, and I'm telling you, we used to do that for the Chevron service stations.
I heard that too.
Yeah, we did that for the Chevron service stations, and that just worked
King
out
Alfreds
so well.
sometimes will pop a little earlier, and then the Alfreds or the other ones, the Emperors come on, and then the Emperors finish, and the King Alfreds still have a few blooms on them.
Yep.
So they're much longer blooming, but as long as they're blooming at the same time, that's the key.
And that's like I say, our daffodils come out 2 weeks later than yours.
At least.
At least 2 weeks later than yours.
Be grateful you're not in Alberta, hey? Or Winnipeg.
Then they don't come out at all,
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, I'll make it quick because I don't know if your time is 9:54 or 55. According to your traffic report, I think you finished 2 minutes before that. Okay, so the thing with the King Alfreds, they're way taller than the red emperor tulips, aren't they?
They are taller, but not. They're so thin and that it makes a great combination.
Yeah, so I was planting on the foundation, which they have some already from a 1965 home, and I can let everybody know in Greater Victoria they last really long, but still go to your garden center and buy more bulbs.
Yes, absolutely.
And send them to wherever you are.
Yeah, that's right.
In Canada. No, the other thing was, if there's such a good combo, why do the deer only eat the tulips and not the King Alfred daffodils?
Tulips are their favorite, that's for sure. So yeah, if you have deer, you have to be out as soon as they start poking their little leaves out of the ground. You got to spritz them with the deer repellent immediately.
Oh yeah, that's that thing that your friend has. Is that the one with the baking?
Bobex. Or you can buy deer repellents. Bobex is an excellent one as well.
Yeah, but then will the Bobex keep everybody else away, like the weeds in the lawn?
Not as much. Yeah. No, the Bobex and the other one that is on the market aren't nearly as stinky as Jack's formulation, but Jack's formulation does work.
Oh, Jack isn't stinky. He's tall.
Yeah.
Okay. No, the other thing was, what's the best time to feed them? I leave them in the foundation all the time.
Just when they're growing. You got to feed them when they're growing.
Outside. Okay, so when they first start to grow, and what's the best combination? So when they first start to show the green, I can start feeding with them, but when do I feed them? Like, what do I feed them with?
Well, just about any kind of general purpose fertilizer will do the job. They definitely benefit from feeding while they're growing.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
Will blood meal work too?
Yeah, that would work for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And should to get longer lasting blooms from your tulips and your daffodils?
It's a temperature issue.
Pardon?
So it's a temperature issue. When the temperatures are mild, they last a long time. When the temperatures are hot, they don't last. Yeah, and we have sometimes some extreme heat, and they just burn off real fast.
Oh, okay. And should the middle number, if you want any other flowers to bloom, like
middle number and last number, yeah.
We got 5 seconds.
The last number or the middle number?
Both.
Both?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
0, 10, 10.
I should let you go because 9:56 and 9:58, depending which part of Greater Victoria you're in right now.
Thank you, Sharon. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Great show as always.
Thank you, dear.
Thanks, Sharon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now for the garden, the tips of the week and the plants of the week. Here, we're going to shut things down pretty quick here, but we give you the tips and plants. I tell you that this is the beginning of the gardening season. The fall gardening season, and it's so exciting because the plants are going to just love it as the weather moderates here and gets into the fall gardening time. My plant of the week is the morning glory, but the regular morning glory, like heavenly blue, and that's not really aggressive. There are some bad ones out there, so just be careful.
Yep, my tip of the week this week is about cover crops, and if you have any beds that you're done, the crop's finished, the vegetables are done in that bed, put some cover crops in. There's many available, and watch for crimson clover. That's my favorite. I plant it right now. And my plant of the week was the snapdragons. They're blooming like crazy, as they always do. They're just super easy, self-seeding, and deer-resistant, drought-tolerant, and disease-resistant, all that stuff. Good plants to grow, easy to grow. That's my tips and plants for this week. Remember to check growercoach.com, Grower Coach on YouTube.
And my Shigo quote of the week this week is, athlete's foot is caused by bacteria. Later, the fungi come. If you treat only the secondary agent, the problem will not go away. Treating secondary agents associated with tree problems is common and just doesn't work. We will see you next week with more of The Garden Show.